Okay, namaste. We are going to be doing a well, I say full yin practice, but we may have a couple active poses in the mix. And I'm going to divert away what our subject matters have been this week because I posted something, I believe this morning or last night, and it made me laugh and it made me think of using this for our theme today. So there was this little cartoon. If you haven't seen it, I posted it on the Moonbeam Facebook page. And it shows a stocking and a pinata sitting together at a bar. And I can't remember verbatim what it says, but basically the stocking is talking to the pinata, saying no one realizes how hard it is to be stuffed with candy and then to be placed on a mantle. And of all people for him to be talking to, it was a pinata that not only gets stuffed with candy, but gets destroyed. Whereas a stocking brings joy and gets reused year after year. So anyway, I thought that was funny. And it made me think of Einstein and how he used to say, everything is relative. So with that in mind, I want to use that as our contemplative food for thought today as part of our spiritual practice, because they say nothing is absolute and everything is relative. There was a cartoon that I posted years ago, and just to kind of give you an example, a different example, it was an ocean and a fish was swimming freely in the ocean. And then within the ocean was not an aquarium, but a small circular fish tank, very tiny, with one fish just swimming in circles. And the caption of the fish in the fish tank said religion. And then it was labeled spirituality for the fish that had the whole ocean to swim in. And I loved that because I felt like growing up in an extremely religious home and with lots of dogma and all these rules that you could never fully live by, I felt like I was encaged. I felt like it was a little bit of an imprisonment. And it wasn't until I discovered what spirituality was that I realized, oh, this is what I resonate with. And this is so much more expansive. But that's just my perspective. If I were to have my family look at that same cartoon, they would flip it. And then they would put the label spirituality on the fish in the fish tank just swimming in circles. And then they would say the fish that had the entire ocean was the one that should be labeled religious, right? So basically what this is saying and what these two little cartoons were kind of demonstrating is everything is relative. So it just depends on the eye of the beholder. It depends on each individual person and their perspective of things, their opinion of things, their experience, and how they've been shaped. And I think that's an important thing for us to go over right now because there is still so much polarity happening in the world. And if we could really take this to heart and not be so black and white about issues, but realize there's this innumerable amount of gray, I think it would be very helpful. So that's what I want you to consider as we drop into the body and really use our breath to go within. This is a fun practice. I really had fun creating this flow, and I hope you like it. I'm going to suggest maybe 2 blocks at the front side. I would suggest maybe a bolster for Shavasana, but we're going to begin actually in a passive crocodile pose. So in this position where you're face down, the feet are going to widen. Your chest is going to be propped up, but your arms are going to fold in front to provide a headrest. Now, I usually mentioned it's nice to rock and wiggle the hips from side to side just to make sure that you're not gripping or holding in your low back or buttocks. It doesn't really matter if the feet are slightly pigeon-toed. Just let the legs be. And see if you can bring some neutrality to the lower body. And being face down, close the eyes. And just check in with your body. How is it feeling right now? Are there any areas crying out? And if you've been having any issues with your body, or if you notice anything calling out for your attention, just make that mental note so that you can be more compassionate and nurturing to this area as we continue to move the body. And then notice the state of your own mind. Whether or not you're feeling stressed, concerned. And set your intention to cultivate a state of calm. And begin cultivating that through the breath. So breathe in and out through the nose, unless you're congested for whatever reason, and then you can breathe through the mouth or a blend of the two. Keep breathing in and out through the nose. 3 more rounds. And then gently start to lift the head up. You're going to roll to your right side body. And you can do a couple different things here. I would use the left hand in front to help balance. You can take the arm and head lower, or you can prop it up. It kind of depends on your neck. Try to straighten out your body as best you can. Again, using that left hand for balance, and then sail the left leg up in the air. So find your degree of flexibility just with the leg lifting solo. It can stay suspended here. But if you want to challenge your balance, you can try to take the left hand away to hold the thigh, to hold the calf, and some of you might be able to lace the peace mudra around the big toe. So again, you don't even need the hand necessarily. You can be resting on the floor in front of you. This is Anatasana. It's a pose that goes back to the story of Vishnu, who is said to be the preserver. And so what we're trying to do in yin is preserve the pose for a period of time. One way to help build the stamina or to give yourself support in doing so is through the power of the breath. And then if at any point you feel like, the leg's opening, you might be able to draw it in closer. If, on the other hand, it builds resistance, or if you're, starting to get a cramp, you would do less or just come out. So in these first few poses, we're going to be targeting the inside of the leg here. And there's 3 energetic channels that run through this area, and they correlate back to, or are named, the kidney, spleen, and liver meridians. And they correlate to those names of the particular organs because they eventually come to the organ itself, even though their pathway is elsewhere in the body. Let's take a few more breaths here. We're going to do a pose that we have not done in a while, at least to my memory. And so if your left hand is holding the leg somewhere, go ahead and descend it back down to help you to balance. Bend your right knee, which will also assist balance. And then we're going to maintain as much control as possible, staying on the right side. We're just lowering the left leg down so that the foot takes rest. All right, now this is cat pulling its tail pose, and we're working into the gallbladder meridian on the outside of the leg. Now, please don't feel like you have to take this extra step. But for the term cat pulling its tail pose, the way this translates is we take the left hand and we lift that back foot, the right foot, we find it, and then we shimmy and scoot the right knee a little farther back, and you still have the hand hold of the foot, so you're slightly squeezing it towards your buttocks. And since that's opening the quads and the front side of the right leg, that correlates with the stomach meridian. Your neck is getting tired. If you're propped up, you can always transition down to the arm. And doing this from home, you could always bring in a pillow for your head too. And the eyes can be open or closed here. Let's go ahead and release the right foot. Straighten out that leg. And you're going to slide your left foot over so that you're rolling back to your belly. So the right leg's behind you, left leg's to the left side. Your right arm is going to reach in front of you, and your right arm is going to reach to the right side. And then you turn down to your left cheek. So this is a prone 4-point star. It's like we're extending our 4 limbs in all 4 cardinal directions, but we're softening through the joints. So soften through the shoulders and hips, soften through the elbows and knees, soften through your wrists and ankles. Breathe down into the belly. Feeling it balloon on the in-breath and deflate on the out-breath. And since I mentioned 4 cardinal directions, you could think of air going with the east, fire going with the south, the water going with the west, and earth going with the north. And since our theme is about everything being relative, I want you to realize that that concept of those elements going with those directions are the ones that shamanic practices in Northern American use. But if you were to go to shamanic tribes elsewhere in the world, they might relate different elements to those directions, all according to what they have used in their culture, how it applies to their geographical area, because everything is relative. Now we're going to flip the face. So you're turning to reside on your right cheek, and that may feel actually a little bit better. But again, it's relative. It's better for me, but it may be reversed for you. I'm going to move on. But we're going to keep the right arm as it is. We're going to stay on the right side of the face, but we're going to slide the left hand back in front of our chest again. We're going to bend the left knee, and I'm going to give you 2 options here. You're going to push into your left hand to go into broken wing, which is a twist. So the right arm is out shoulder height. The left hand is helping you to balance and spin. The left knee rises and the foot steps behind you. Now, this is the side in my body in particular where my piriformis and my SI joint are not always happy with this. And it happens to be showing up right now. So if your low back is unhappy, try bending the right knee and then stacking the left foot over the right and do the clam version instead. And if that, okay, that totally relieved what I was feeling. If that doesn't bring you relief, then just drop the knee totally, okay? So pick one of those, and then feel free to close your eyes. Move back inside yourself. If you haven't done the clam version, then bend your right knee, stack your left foot on top of the right, and be here now. All right, we're gonna roll back to the belly. So I would suggest closing the clam first, straightening out the legs second, rolling onto the abdomen, and bringing that right hand in. Now you can just roll to your left side. I'm actually going to shift my whole body. It kind of depends on where the screen is and how you're viewing it. Usually I don't mind my back turned, but I want to face you today. So once we roll to the left side body, again, your neck may have a completely different experience being propped up on this side. So you're welcome to drop lower. Right hand's in front of you to help with balance. A semi-straight line here with your form, and then sail the right leg up. And again, there might be some restriction showing up somewhere. And you may need the right hand to help you to just stay balanced here. Another way to stay balanced is to bend your left knee instead of keeping it straight. If you want to challenge your balance, and if you want to go a little deeper with this top leg, you can hold the thigh, the calf, or tag the big toe. Approaching it in a yin way, where it's not overly active. You're simply forming this shape and then just letting go as much as you can. You can even look at our physical postures that we perform on the mat with the same concept of everything is relative, right? Because some people naturally have a lot of flexibility in their lower body, and this poses no problem. It comes fairly easy to them. And then there's some of us that have either had to work to get here, or maybe this is your weakness or where you have more limitations. And then your strong suit might be something about strength in your upper body, or you may have more flexibility in your spine. But it's all relative. All right, we're going to start to move into cat pulling its tail pose. So that left knee will want to bend here. And you're kind of bringing that left heel behind you. The right hand will definitely come down to the ground because you'll need that as part of your control to slowly, ever so slowly, descend your right leg. All right, you should be able to sense this stretch on the outside of it. And you don't necessarily have to do any more. But if you can lift your left foot, if your right hand can cross behind your back, you might be able to slide the left thigh back more, perhaps squeezing, using the arm as a lever to draw the heel in closer to your body. We had a little holiday gathering the other night for the Reiki training that I just did. And there was just like 5 women who got together, and we were talking about cats and dogs. You know, some people prefer cats and love their independence and attitude. And then other people prefer dogs for their loyalty and how they like to cuddle. Again, it's all relative based on our perspective. All right, we're going to release that back foot and extend it down the mat. The right hand's going to come back down in front because we're going to slide the right leg over. We're going to move that left arm to the left side, palm faces down, and the right arm is now going to reach ahead. Turn to rest on your right cheek first. And then relax into it. Rob and I enjoy going to this restaurant called Eastern Peak, and it's a Thai restaurant, and you get to pick the level of your spice, you know, how hot you want your food to be. And there was a time where we both ordered the same level, and I almost couldn't even eat my food because it was so hot. And yet he was able to eat it perfectly. He didn't understand why I thought it was so hot, because it's all relative. Even our taste buds are different. Go ahead and flip to the left side of the face. Notice if it's better or worse, tighter or looser. And now let's explore the broken wing, which is that twist. So your right hand's going to slide back. You're going to bend your right knee next. And then you'll push through the right hand to roll to your left side and to step the right foot behind you. Knee stays elevated, but you're in control of how much it's elevated, right? It doesn't have to be turned all the way towards the ceiling. And then if by chance your low back is saying no to this, then bend your left knee, stack the feet for clam. We will eventually get to clam, so if the straight leg form is okay, I would suggest doing that one first. Now this deep stretch that we're getting from the chest into the shoulder and down through the inside of the arm, there's 3 meridians here for the heart, for the lungs, and the pericardium. Let's bend the left knee and stack the feet for the clam version, if you haven't done so already. And remember, you can close this space of the clam, stacking the knees if you need to. Let's go ahead and descend that right knee, and then we'll push out through the feet, roll to the abdomen, slide your left hand in, and come to the brow. From here, roll the shoulders up towards the ears and then loop them back. Lengthen through the legs and come up to any form of cobra. So with the cobra, the shoulders are back, the head is held up. We're working with the strength of our back. This is a more active pose, so approach it that way. And on your out breath, let's come back down to the brow. As we inhale, we're going to push up to all fours. And as we exhale, we're going to slink back into extended child's pose or tadpole. The elbows sink. And you can always place a prop underneath your forehead if it doesn't naturally come down. Resting here at the third eye. This is the energy center that allows us to see things from a much broader perspective. This is the energy center that allows us to see different points of view. On your next in breath, let's rock up hands and knees. And as you exhale, take downward facing dog. Lengthening out through your arms and back. And bending the knees if the hamstrings get in the way. Allowing that to be the last part of the equation. On your next inhalation, let's step the right foot all the way forward and up between the hands. And you're going to lunge that knee. And you are certainly welcome to bring in blocks underneath your arms. See if you can give a little extra elevation to your back thigh. Push a little harder through your right foot. This is a more active lunge. The head stays up, neck in line with the vertebrae. And on the out breath, we're going to surrender the back knee to the floor. We'll untuck the back toes. And then we're going to drape over that front knee. So this works for me, but it may not work for you. If I stand the blocks on their tallest height, I can drape over the knee and the elbows can take rest, but that's totally dependent on the person. And then of course you can bow your head. This is a good release for the psoas. And this is actually an exercise that I've been having to do more of lately because I've been dealing with the tilted pelvis, which brought some disharmony to my left SI joint. I finally have that squared away, but due to all this time, there were certain muscles that were being overused and compromised. And one of those was my psoas on this side. And they said it was angry because of its overuse. And so this is actually a great pose to create the release and to get the deep stretch. Now to back out of the pose, I would suggest maybe putting the hands back to the blocks, pushing down through the blocks so you can lift through the pelvic floor and back the hips up. bringing the knee back to join the other, and then setting the blocks to the side to press down through your palms, tucking the toes, and returning to downward facing dog. Developing that state of oneness with your breath. And then we're going to take the left leg and step it ahead. And I'm bringing the blocks back in for the lunge, so you can too. Once you have it stacked, you're going to be active at first. Notice how that back leg wants to drop with gravity. So just pluck it up. Keep the head up. Ground through the left foot. More pressure in the foot than the hands. Exhale, still down to the back knee, untuck the back toes. And then feel free to just collapse over it, or if this works for you, you can rest the elbows on top and then release the head. Soften your jaw. Your face, your eyes. Few more breaths. And then once you start to lift up, you can, I walk the blocks back a little bit to push into the hands, to draw up to the pelvic floor, to slide the left knee back. And then place the blocks away to reset the hands for the next down dog. When you're ready to rise up, do so. But we're not maintaining it like we did before. We're actually transitioning back to dangling. So the hands walk in the direction of the toes. Your heels lower to your mat. Your knees softly bend. And then you're just gravitating the head and heart lower. Arms relaxed. Neck relaxed. always helpful for me if I focus on the longer exhalations because this pose can get quite intense pretty quickly. The breath will help to carry you through. So befriend it. Three more breaths. And we'll walk the hands out. So bend the knees enough to get the hands to the floor. And we're just coming to a tabletop, so you don't have to do plank or down dog. Just find your way back here. The inhale is going to send out the right leg, plant the foot, root your left hand, and radiate the right arm skyward. Last week at some point, I had a friend reach out to me and she said, I want to know what's happening in the sky. She said, I was taking a walk and I saw 4 bright stars all lined up. And honestly, I don't know if it's still the case or not. It may have adjusted itself, but I got out my, I think it's called Skyline app, and I found them. And it was Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, like almost in a straight line. They were in 2 different constellations, 3 in one, 1 in another. But it was really cool. So I encourage you, if you haven't been looking up into the sky lately, do it. I have seen beautiful pictures of sunrises. I'm not up that early, but usually when I get up, I'm still seeing the color in the sky. That's really pretty. The sunsets have been amazing. And those bright stars are most likely planets. All right, let's bring that right hand down. That stargazer pose. Right knee lowers. Inhale, left leg extends. Right hand roots. And then twist open to stargazer to the left. Exhale, release. All right. So Uttanasana was our final inversion or dangling pose. And that was our final twist. So I don't have my typical bolster, and you don't even have to use a bolster. I do have one here that's round. Most of you I know have the rectangular ones. This is just a suggestion. So if you wanted a back bend, you could use your bolster to lay over. If you feel like I want a little bit more in the hips, since the holidays are coming, family matters tend to show up. You can bring the soles of the feet together, place the blocks under the knees, make it restorative. Or if you want to be true to yin, you can just let the knees hang free and stretch the hip joints. So find your place of rest. Feel free to cover the eyes. Gaze into your mind's eye and breathe any thoughts away. Let go of mulling things over in your mind. And see if you can invite a natural pause by either witnessing or controlling your breath. That way the movie quits playing out in the mind. That inner dialogue or script can wait for later. On your next inhale, go ahead and draw the knees up and together. Move one of those blocks away if you were using it so that you can turn over and have that clearance and build your way up to sit. Sitting tall, and then checking in with your body. If there was any area crying out to you in the beginning, notice if it's speaking up now. If your mind was busy in the beginning, Notice if it's in a calmer state now. And then joining the hands to prayer position at your heart. The light in me honors and respectfully bows to the beautiful light in each of you. May we go forth from this practice today being mindful and aware that everything is relative. Om peace, peace, peace. Namaste.